There was no press conference, no breaking news alert, no shouting match on television, and yet one of the biggest stories of the 2026 NASCAR season played out right in front of everybody and almost nobody noticed it happening. A small part on the race car got changed quietly, and most of the garage just walked right past it. Almost everybody, except one man. Brad Keselowski saw it, understood exactly what it meant, and said out loud what nobody else in the sport seemed willing to say. All he wrote on social media was one short line, no drama, no big speech, just a simple comment that this barely got any media coverage but was actually a huge deal. That might sound like nothing, but remember who said it. Keselowski isn't just some driver commenting from the sidelines. He drives the number 6 Ford and he also co-owns RFK Racing, so when he talks about the machinery of this sport, he's speaking from two seats at once, the cockpit and the front office. So let's walk through this whole thing step by step, because once you see all the pieces side by side, you'll understand why this quiet little change might be a much bigger deal than anyone realizes. Let's start with the numbers because they are staggering. 22 races have been run in the 2026 season, and Toyota has already won 13 of them. Chevrolet has 6 wins. Ford has 3. Read that again. Toyota has more wins by itself than Chevrolet and Ford combined, and it isn't even close. This hasn't just been a strong year for Toyota, it's been a full-blown takeover. The manufacturer standings tell the same story. Earlier this season, Tyler Reddick of 23XI Racing sat first in points with Denny Hamlin of Joe Gibbs Racing right behind him in second, and at one point during the summer, if the regular season had ended that day, 7 different Toyota drivers would have made the playoffs. Both Reddick and Hamlin strung together 3 straight points race wins at different points this year. That's the level of control Toyota has had. And here's what makes it so strange. The whole point of the next-gen car was supposed to prevent exactly this. Every team runs the same parts from the same suppliers, all bolted onto identical chassis. The idea was to squeeze the competition so tightly that no single manufacturer could ever pull away like this. And yet here we are, watching one manufacturer do exactly that. So all season long, every crew chief, every engineer, and every driver in that garage has been asking the same question: what is Toyota doing that the rest of us aren't? And that question is exactly where this story starts. Back on July 28th, on Kevin Harvick's podcast, co-host Mamba Smith brought up something most fans hadn't even heard about. He mentioned that NASCAR had quietly made a change involving the splitter on the next-gen car, and he framed it around Team Penske and Joey Logano specifically, saying there had been a small adjustment to the nose of the car that the team felt might help their downforce numbers. Then he added something that sounded almost like a warning, saying that if you let your competition hang around long enough, eventually they come back and catch you off guard, and by then it's too late to do anything about it. That comment sent fans straight to social media asking what adjustment, when did it happen, and why wasn't anybody reporting on it? Now if you're newer to racing, let's break down what a splitter actually is, because this whole story hinges on this one small part. The splitter is that flat panel at the very bottom front of the car. It sits low, close to the track surface, and its job is to work with the airflow moving over and under the car to push the nose down toward the ground. More downforce up front means more grip through the corners, more grip means more speed, and more speed means better lap times. It's a small piece of the car, but it does enormous work. And here's the concept that unlocks the whole mystery: flex. When a car is running at speed, air slams into the front end with real force, and that force can cause the splitter to bend or shift just slightly. You'd never spot it from the grandstands, it might only be a tiny amount, but in this sport, tiny is everything. A small bend changes how air flows underneath the car, which changes grip, which changes how the car rotates through the corner, especially when a driver is chasing down a competitor ahead of him. Repeat that tiny advantage lap after lap, race after race, and it adds up to real, measurable speed. So follow that logic through. If one manufacturer figured out how to exploit that flex better than everybody else, that's an advantage hiding quietly inside a gray area of the rulebook that nobody ever thought to close. And that brings us to the confirmation. When fans started asking questions, NASCAR insider Bob Pockrass responded directly, laying the whole picture out. Starting at North Wilkesboro, Teams were required to add support struts to the front of the splitter specifically to stop it from moving or deforming at speed. Pockrass noted that whether this flex was a real, significant edge for Toyota is still debated inside the garage. And he pointed out that Toyota was still plenty strong at Indianapolis after the change went into effect. In plain terms, struts are simple support pieces that brace something in place so it can't shift around, and NASCAR required every single team in the field to bolt them onto the front of their splitters, specifically because that flex, the one reportedly discovered by Toyota, had become impossible to ignore. Pockrass was fair about it too, making clear this isn't settled, but it is absolutely a hot topic in every corner of the garage right now. And that's the post Brad Keselowski replied to with his now famous one-liner about how this barely got any coverage but was actually a massive deal. Think about who said that. This isn't a fan online guessing, and it isn't a reporter chasing rumors. This is a Cup Series driver and team co-owner in the Ford camp calling it out directly, which tells you a lot about what people inside the sport actually believe, regardless of what gets said publicly. So did the change actually work? The struts went on starting at North Wilkesboro, so we can look right at what happened after. At North Wilkesboro, Toyota took 4 of the top 6 finishing spots. Then at Indianapolis, Toyota finished 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th. So the rule changed, the struts went on, and Toyota just kept doing exactly what it had been doing all year. But fairness means looking at the full picture, and Ford actually had a real answer at both of those races. Joey Logano was dominant at North Wilkesboro, just like the year before, and Ford put 5 cars in the top 11. At Indianapolis, Logano finished 3rd, and Ford placed 4 cars in the top 8 and 7 cars in the top 15, a real uptick across both races. But there's a catch. Both of those tracks are traditionally strong for Ford anyway, so it's genuinely hard to separate the effect of the struts from the effect of the schedule. That leaves 2 possible conclusions, and honestly, neither one is good news for anybody chasing Toyota. Either the splitter was never really the secret, which means Toyota's speed is coming from somewhere else nobody has found yet, or the splitter really was part of it, and Toyota is still this fast even without it. Pick whichever one you want. Neither helps Ford sleep easier at night. And the schedule doesn't offer a quick answer either, because coming out of the off week, NASCAR heads to Iowa, Richmond, New Hampshire, and Daytona, tracks that won't tell us much about where the Toyota camp really stands. The real test comes on the mile-and-a-half tracks, and the full truth probably won't reveal itself until the playoffs begin. But here's where the story goes even deeper, because Keselowski has been building a much bigger theory all season, and the splitter is only one piece of it. Speaking with reporters, he explained that a lot of races get decided long before the cars ever hit the track, won in boardrooms through high-level decision-making by team owners and, increasingly, by the manufacturers themselves. He traced it back to around 2020 and 2021, when he believes the sport went through a major behind-the-scenes shift, handing a large chunk of engineering work away from individual teams and over to the manufacturers, rules he believes were originally aimed at reining in Furniture Row Racing, the team that spent big, won a championship, and then folded. The unintended result, in his view, was a kind of stalemate across manufacturers, where each one, consciously or not, ended up picking a favorite team to back. And then he gave real credit to Toyota, saying they recognized that stalemate wasn't good for them or for the sport, and pushed real collaboration among their top teams so that instead of having one strong organization and one weaker one, they now have 2 elite organizations working together, and increasingly a third. He said Toyota already has some of the best cars, the best aerodynamics, and on top of that, the collaboration between Joe Gibbs Racing 2311 and now even Legacy Motor Club is incredibly powerful, letting them pool their best ideas, best practices, and lessons learned across all 3 teams. He said flatly that he doesn't see any other manufacturer collaborating at that level, and that the results on the track reflect it. In his view, beating Toyota requires at least 2 elite organizations sharing resources and working together at a very high level, and right now, he just doesn't see anybody else doing that. He also refused to put the blame on drivers, using Joey Logano as the example, pointing out that Logano is a multiple-time champion, and that if you look at his numbers this year in isolation, you might think he's having a bad season. Keselowski flatly rejected that idea, saying the real issue is that the cars simply aren't where they need to be, and that he feels exactly the same way about his own program. In his eyes, The sport has shifted to a point where races are decided less by crew chiefs and engineers on a given weekend, and more by manufacturer-level decisions made well in advance. Meanwhile, on the Toyota side, Denny Hamlin has framed the whole thing very differently, calling it a fair advantage that was simply earned through hard work. All of this raises an obvious question about loyalty, because Ford sits at just 3 wins in 22 races, and RFK Racing is stuck in a stretch nobody there is proud of. Rumors even started circulating earlier this year that RFK might eventually walk away from Ford altogether, with some linking the team to Dodge, which is rumored to be joining the sport as a 4th manufacturer as early as 2028. Keselowski shut that talk down himself, pointing out RFK Racing has a multi-year agreement with Ford, and that his goal is simply to help make Ford a championship-winning manufacturer again. When asked directly about it in July, he didn't dodge the question at all, saying they're fully committed, that they want to succeed with Ford, that they're hopeful they can keep innovating together, and that right now they're in a lull nobody wants to be in, one that Ford doesn't want either. He said plainly that it's on his team to step up and figure it out, not anybody else's job to fix. That kind of accountability is rare to hear during a rough season. Loyalty is easy when you're winning. It's a whole lot harder when you have 3 wins and the manufacturer across the garage has 13. There is a light at the end of the tunnel though, because Ford has a new body style coming for the 2027 season that Keselowski believes should help close some of this gap. So here's where things stand right now. The playoffs are just 4 races away. That's the entire window left for Ford and Chevrolet to find something real before it's too late, for races to close a gap that's done nothing but widen since February. NASCAR has already made its move with the splitter struts, and there's no undoing that now. And so far, Toyota hasn't blinked. Keselowski saw this coming, understood exactly what it meant, and said it out loud when nobody else in the sport wanted to. Now the rest of the garage has 4 races left to prove he was right. Was the splitter really the secret behind the most dominant manufacturer season NASCAR has seen in years? Or is the real answer still hiding somewhere nobody's looked yet? Let us know what you think in the comments, because this conversation is just getting started. If you enjoyed breaking this down with us, it would mean the world if you hit that subscribe button right now. We are so close to hitting 1,000 subscribers here at NASCAR Report today, and every single one of you watching could be the one that finally gets us there. This channel exists because of viewers like you who care about the real stories behind the sport. So thank you for spending this time with us today. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. And please, if you haven't already, subscribe and join the NASCAR Report Today family so we don't miss you next time this garage has a story worth telling.